Okay, we can start the supportive factor session. For that, I'm not quite sure whether Chatu is ready to read that section once again.
I heard that on one occasion the Blessed One was staying near Rajagai in the bamboo grove, the squirrel sanctuary. Then a number of monks from the Blessed One's native land, having completed the rains retreat in the native land, went to the Blessed One, and on arrival, having bowed down to him, sat to one side. As they were sitting there, the Blessed One said to them, "Monks, whom in our native land to do native land monks, his companions in the holy life, esteem in this way. Having few wants himself, he grants talks to the monks, and on fewness of wants. Contented himself, gives talks to the monks on contentment. Secluded himself, he gives talks to the monks on seclusion. Unentangled himself, he gives talks to the monks on non-entanglement. Having aroused persistence in himself, he gives talks to the monks on arousing persistence. Consummate in his own virtue, he gives talks to the monks on being consummate in virtue. Consummate in his own concentration, he gives talks to the monks on being consummate in concentration. Consummate in his own discernment, he gives talks to the monks on becoming consummate in discernment. Consummate in his own release, he gives talks to the monks on becoming consummate in release. Consummate in his own knowledge and vision of release, gives talks to the monks on becoming consummate in the knowledge and vision of release. He is one who exhorts, informs, instructs, urges, rouses, and encourages his companions in the holy life. Lord, the monk named Pulya Mantaniputta is esteemed as the native land monks, his companions in the holy life. In this way, having few wants himself, he gives.
Thank you so much. So that's the section that we have taken last time for our supportive factor session. And as you all know, we take this supportive factor to get more knowledge and to know things or to confirm things that we already know, or maybe to clear our doubts, or maybe to clear our viewpoint, or to have some spiritual upliftment. So for those reasons, we engage in, or rather, the Blessed One has advised to engage in listening supportive factor and the discussion supportive factor. So for that purpose, we have selected this particular discourse. In English, it is called Relay Chariots. And in Pali, it is called Rathavinitha, right? So how it starts is after rains retreat. As you may know, months are on rain retreats now. So from August, September, October, those are the 3 months, especially those days in India. Rain, it is the rainy season, monsoon rainy season. So in the rainy season, months are not, or Buddha has advised not to go on arms round, because it will be, it will destroy some farmlands, because they have just started cultivating. So things are still growing. Very young crops may be destroyed. Therefore, not to go on farmland, because when you see the land, you will not identify it straight away as it's a farmland. So you will just keep walking, and crops will get destroyed. So therefore, don't go on arms round. So instead, and to look after monks for 3 months. So when they look after monks for 3 months, they will be providing all the necessary requisites, and the monks will be full-time doing their practice. So this particular episode has taken place just after the conclusion of the rains retreat. So after the conclusion of the rains retreat, they have come and spoken to the Blessed One. And the Buddha has asked monks, all you monks have come from my native land. Is there anybody in my native land who is able to look after the monks? And he has given few qualities of that particular person. And the qualities are, we call them, what do you call, dasakata, 10 types of talks if someone do. And they are about modesty, about contentment, about seclusion, about unentanglement, arousing of persistence, being discernment, and release of release from the suffering, and knowledge and vision of release. So these are the 10 spiritual talks, or 10 recommended talks that a practitioner can do. And if there is anyone who himself is having those qualities, and advising monks also to do the same thing, and he's a person, if he has those qualities, is he advising, is he informing, is he demonstrating himself, whether he's urging and arousing the persistence in others, and encourages others to do the same thing. And then the monks say, oh yeah, there is someone, and his name is Punna, and he is the son of Mantani. Mantani is the mother, and son of Mantani, called Punna, is someone who is with such abilities, such behavior. And then the discourse continues, but we have stopped there because we are going to talk a little bit about this 10 types of talk. So last time we, I think, took the first two talk, or first two items, which is being modesty and contentment. And what we discussed there was, most of the time when we get together and when we have an opportunity, people will get involved in 10 types of this virtuous talk, or 10 types of spiritual talk. They instead will start talking about unacceptable 32 types of talk that the Blessed One has given. And last time we just went through them, starting from about talking about kings and robbers, and ministers, prime ministers, wars, female, males, and all sorts of things. And Blessed One says all these are just idle talk, just frivolous talk, and they have no meaning. And if someone is having the first quality, which is called modesty, then that modesty, one who is modest, will be very easily contented. He will be very easily happy, because he is not having lots and lots of expectations. He knows exactly that when he feels hungry, he should eat something. He will have to have some clothes wrap around him just to cover his private parts, and he should have a roof over the head. And when he is sick, he should have some medication. And if you have these 4 types of prerequisites, those are the 4 types of prerequisites that a monk is basically allowed to have. And if you have those things, and then you are modest, and even when you take those things, you will be taking only for the utility value. So today, even when you have, when you want to have a roof over the head, and you take, you build a house for 1,000 people to live, but only 2 will be living there. So we can see the type of modesty we have in the society, which I'm not going to go into detail. So like that, we have spoken about modesty in the present world, and as well as what was expected from a person who is walking on the path. And in this modesty, the Blessed One has expressed, or some of the monks, some of the arahants during those days, they had not only the modesty of the four prerequisites, some of them have undertaken to go even further. And although you can take 2 meals a day, some of the monks have, even today there are some monks, they just take only 1 meal a day. And there are some monks who are not looking for a roof over the head. They just go into a cave and they live in a cave, right? So like that, there are some higher levels of modesty that some of the monks are practicing. And few years ago, there was, when I was in Brisbane and in a retreat, someone came to the retreat, and he was not participating in the retreat. He was a white Australian, if I may use the word with due respect. He was a person like that. He's not having any money. He was not having any job, but he is believing in living without money and living without a job. And he's with a stick and just a bag, going from place to place. And whenever he wants to go somewhere, just goes to the station, get someone to buy a ticket for him, and just go wherever he wants to go. And he told me those days he has been living like that about 3-4 years then. So I haven't met him after that. And he just came to the retreat just to worship the teacher and went. So these are not things that are impossible. There are people doing them even today. I'm not recommending anybody that without doing those things we can't walk on the path. Those are extreme measures. Although they have been recommended, they are not compulsory for the practice. So a modest person will be very, the next quality is, because of the modesty, you usually become a contented person. So you are not therefore going for money, or going for position, or going for power, or going for the strength of the body to be contented. You will not accumulate as many things as possible to be contented. You will know that you have a modest life, and with that modest life, you get the basic things that are required, and you will be happy with it. And those are the things that we discussed in the last session. Today we are going to discuss, depending on the time availability, the next few qualities that the Blessed One is talking is Bhavivekata. Bhavivekata is the third one. That is the Pali term, and in English you call it seclusion. And if time permits, we will talk about unentanglement as well as the arousing of persistence. So when you talk about Bhavivekata, or the seclusion, for someone who is looking for seclusion, one will really start appreciating the silence. We call it noble silence, because you need what you call seclusion. You will try to be away from the rest of the society as much as possible, because you need peace within you. And so the main thing that provides you peace is getting rid of the Blessed One has said, whoever who is interested in being secluded, he will be secluded from noisy places. And his recommendation is to maintain noble silence unless you talk about Dhamma. So therefore, being silent or maintaining silence is very conducive to have a secluded life. And when you are secluded, there are three main things that you can be secluded from, right? First seclusion is the physical seclusion. Physical seclusion, what happens is you will not like, if you want to maintain silence, it is very difficult when you are with a lot of people. So you will be therefore going into jungle, you will be going into the forest, you may be going into caves, you may be going into secluded places like temples. That is in search of seclusion that the Blessed One is talking about here. And that is why some of you have come to the temple at least for a few hours, and you love doing that once a week, because it gives some peace and it has some spiritual motivation. It has some spiritual incentive. So therefore, you try to become physically secluded. And if you stay at home, you know, houses are filled with so much of material there, and there are other people at home. So it's very, very difficult to maintain a physical seclusion. And the other seclusion that you can talk is seclusion from the sensual pleasures. Although you are physically secluded, some people are not secluded from sensuality. They will be, they may be living alone. They will be, however, having so many things in that small house or in that small room to satisfy his or her own eye, his or her own ear, his or her own tongue. So to satisfy the six senses, there may have lots and lots of sensual objects. So when you have sensual objects as well, it is very difficult to have real seclusion. Although you are physically secluded from people, if you are not secluded from sensuality, sense pleasure, then it is not the real seclusion that the Blessed One is talking about. Once again, when you come to the temple, you rarely find so many things. Of course, nowadays in some temples, you have more things than in a household. But in most of the temples, and in the temple, in the building that you are now, you don't have sense objects. So therefore, you love coming out of that sensual world that you have at home and live few hours there, and to be away from sense pleasures and sensual sense objects, so that you will be more secluded and it will be more conducive to your practice. And that is again another level of seclusion that people look for when they go walk on the spiritual path. And having come to the temple in this manner, you try to be even more secluded. Just coming out of the sensual pleasures or from people, when you start your practice, the practice you are trying to be more and more secluded, right? And when you do the practice, what happens is, although you have come out of the sense pleasures, although you have come out of the things that may annoy you in the normal world, when you try to bring your attention to the walking process while walking, or to the sole of the feet while walking, and when you're sitting, when you try to bring your attention to the upper body or to your breath, right? Sometimes it may not be possible. Although you have come out of the sensual world, those sense desires, physically things are not there. Physically you have left things at home. But when you come and sit here, and you may have so much of sense desires, sometimes you get scared to see that you have so much of sensuality. Sometimes it is coming out as sexuality, because that is the highest sense satisfaction that a human being or any animal could have, and those things will be coming up. And then you see, although you have moved away from sensuality, its image, its negative, its perception has not left you. And those perceptions, those images are every now and then coming and disturbing you. It's not only the sensuality, and when you have sensuality on the other hand, on the other side of the coin, you have the aversion as well. When you have sensuality on the other side, naturally you get aversion, right? So how you get aversion is, you are trying your level best to be secluded from this sensuality and the sense world. And when you see these images are coming and bothering you, then you get annoyed yourself. So it's not only bothering you, even the hatred is coming up. Or if both these are not there, then you will have, you will go to complete seclusion, which means you will fall asleep, or you may be unnecessarily agitated, or you may start doubting whether what you are doing is correct. And there are a few people who have joined this program in the past, and they come for 1 or 2 days only. After that, they just evaporate. They just disappear, because one of these things may be affecting them. They maybe they are suspecting whether this is the right thing to do. So like that, there are a lot of other mental qualities that are coming up and disturbing you. But although these things are coming and disturbing you, what you do is, when you walk, when these disturbances are, they say, walking, or left, right, left, or you may think that you do, or you may say lifting, moving, and placing. So you will somehow or other try to bring your attention to the walking process. So if you bring your attention to the walking process, and if your attention is on the sole of the feet while walking, while sitting, if your attention is with the breath, and you have seen few breaths continuously, and when you see not few breaths, if you see just one breath, and when you walk, if you can just bring your attention 100% to one movement of the leg, and during that thought moment, during that fraction of the second, you have completely secluded away from the images of sensuality as well. You have completely moved away from aversion. You have completely moved away from the sleepiness, lethargy, completely moved away from annoyance and agitation, completely moved away from suspicions. So therefore, those negatives or those images that are stored in the mind also can be secluded when you bring your attention to the object or to whatever that is appearing in that particular point in time. So with that, now you have not only physically secluded, not only you have secluded physically from the sensuality, you have secluded even the mental sensuality, etc. And now you are just with your own breath. And after some time, when you observing your breath, gradually that also fades away. That becomes, initially you may be observing longer breath, and then it becomes subtler, and then it becomes subtlest, and then it may come to a point that you may not feel the breath at all. Or initially you may feel the walking very gross, and you can tell this is how I lift, this is how I place, and this is what I feel when you move, and this is how these are the sensations I'm feeling, and all that you can initially say. Over time, you start seeing when you are walking, although you say that you see lifting like this, you see when you lift one leg, the other leg is placed. When you move one leg, and other leg is also doing something. So it is not just one thing that you can see. You start seeing many things. So when you see many things, instead of getting muddled and puzzled with it, you let everything, you let the walking happen, and you just move away from involving with the walking as well. So it's like the breath that is getting subtler and disappears. Even when the walking is happening, there will have a point that you come to. You let the walking happen, you just be away from walking. So in this manner, you can be secluded from your main object as well. You have given up so many forms. You have just taken only one form, which is the breath or the contact of your sole of the feet. Now, when you just let that also happen, and when you move away from that, you become even secluded from your, we call it seclusion from the form, right? Seclusion from material. Now, breath, you don't perceive the breath. There is no breath that you can perceive. And then you go to, when you don't perceive the breath, it is like ringing the gong. When you ring the gong, we have a small game with the children. When you do the programs for the children, we play the gong and ask them to listen to the gong, and they keep listening to the gong, and we ask them to keep listening even when the sound is not there, right? So they keep on listening to the gong, and then once the sound fades away, and that vibration, that sound wave or the image of the sound is playing in their head, and it vibrates in their head, and they say, as soon as the sound stops, some of the kids start saying, "Whoa, whoa, wow," because it starts ringing in their head. So, and after that, even that disappears. So once that disappears, still the kids can keep listening. Now they can keep their ear activated. So when they keep the ear activated, although there is no sound, they are very attentive. So similarly, when our breath disappears, we can, when the materiality disappears, we can still keep observing the absence of materiality. Then we go to from materiality. Now we are observing. Now we have a capacity. Now we have developed a skill. Now we have developed our potential to observe non-matter. And that way we can be secluded from even the form, even materiality. And when it comes to non-matter as well, if you keep observing, you will gradually move away, or you may not. When simply observance means you will not enjoy. Since you don't enjoy even the non-matter or the immateriality, you will be secluded from even immateriality. So only thing that will be left with you at the end of the day, simple observation. And when you have simple observation, when you develop that quality, and you may see things, the entire world is running around, but you are so quiet. Even when you go, now you are ready to go even to the busiest place in the planet and be secluded yourself. You initially start with physical seclusion, but when you develop your skill of observation, you can go to any busy place. You can go to any sensual place. You can go to any material place where there are full of materiality. You can be secluded yourself within you, right? So it is only to start we need the physical seclusion and sensual seclusion, and that's a seclusion that the Blessed One is teaching. So these are called Kaya Viveka, Chitta Viveka, Upadi Viveka. Kaya Viveka means the physical seclusion, that is from people and from sexuality. Chitta Viveka means you be secluded from the 5 hindrances, which is sense, desire, aversion, etc., until the doubts. And then Upadi Viveka means you become secluded about anything that happens within your mind. You simply just observe, and there are things that arises in your mind just to agitate you, just to grab your attention, but you simply observe them and you are completely detached from the things that are happening. So therefore the Blessed One says we will have to develop this quality up to a level where where you develop your entire factors, or factors for enlightenment. There are 7 factors of enlightenment. Until those factors of enlightenment are developed, of course, when you keep on developing Chitta Viveka, which means seclusion from hindrances, when you develop that, you may gradually develop the factors for enlightenment. And when you do that, you will have to do that with this seclusion as a main supportive factor for the development of factors for enlightenment. So a person who is ready to be secluded in this manner is naturally a person try to be away from other people. He doesn't want to be entangled with other people, and we try to be away from our close relatives. We try to be away from our friends, and as much as possible you avoid mixing up, right? And because if you mix up, then you will lose just one thing, that is your own seclusion. So if you love seclusion, if you like seclusion, If you want to be happy, if you want to be contented, if you want to be modest, you have got to have your own, I would say, holiday, your own. It's seclusion. When you really get to it, it's the real holiday. But when we go on holidays, we do more sensual things than normal days, than other days. But what the Blessed One says is it's the complete holiday. It's the real seclusion that we should have. And when you move away from entanglement, it is not easy. Entanglement is not easy because a lot of things today are decided by there are certain measurements in the society. They will decide things by how much things you have, how many things you have, how many houses you have, how much money you have, how many cars you have, what types they are. It is called Rupa Pramana, the type of the types and the quantity of the forms, materiality you have is one measurement in the society. The second measurement in the society is Gosa Pramana. Gosa Pramana means to what extent you can convince other people. What a clever orator you are is the second measurement. So therefore, lot of leaders, they say, should be able to talk well. So if you are not a good orator, then you cannot convince other people. You can't bargain with other people. And therefore, the second measurement in the society is Gosa Pramana, how much you talk and how well you talk. And if you keep on talking, then you will never be able to be secluded because you can't talk to trees. You can't talk to stones. You can't talk to animals. Gosa Pramana, your speeches will have to be given to people. So if you go to that, then you will never be able to be unentangled from other people. You will not be able to be away from other people. So therefore, the Blessed One says, when we do things in the sensual world, and first we see things, and whatever we see, we like to listen. And it's like, this is how a boy is getting start having a relationship with a girl, or girl is starting a relationship with a boy. And you first see and get attracted, and then you want to talk and listen to that voice, right? And then not just seeing and listening, you will just touch and see and be with her all the time. And like that, it keeps on going until you become parents and grandparents and great grandparents. So that's how the world works. So therefore, it is not easy when we live in the society to be unentangled. But if someone is doing that, and it is not, in that case, not necessary to go away from the house or go away from the society. You can be mentally secluded. When you are mentally secluded, and more you are mentally secluded, then you can be at any place. But current situation is, if you are specially working, when you are working, they can't simply see holidays. They can't simply see an off day. On the off days, then they are planning all sorts of other parties, other networking events, and you will have to be with those people until you die. And networking is the worst thing that I hated when I was working, because there are 2 days per week for you to enjoy or be with you, and they want to take that as well. So to that extent, this entanglement is happening in the society today. So this entanglement usually those who love modesty, those who wants to be contented, they will not go. They will try to be away from other people and not entangled with other people. So, being with other people is leading to unnecessary pressure, unnecessary tension, because when we take a person, an individual himself is unable to control himself or herself, and when you try to be with one more person, right, let alone networking, if you try to be with one more person, and we are trying to be with another person who is not having a control over him or herself, so any tension that he or she will have, you also will be sucked into. So therefore, those who love seclusion try to be unentangled, and in Pali you call it asansagga. Asansagga means not to be with the crowd. So today what we have is they be with everyone, and although they can't solve their own problem, the entire world is trying to solve others' problems, and this is the funny world we have. They are entangled themselves, but they are trying to sort out others' problem, and especially it is happening in the Western world by the powerful nations. They can't sort out their own problem, but they are trying to advise and motivate others to solve their problem. So you can see, and that is how we are going from bad to worse, and it's happening not only in international arena, even at home it is the same. Parents have their own problems. When they can't control themselves, they are trying to control children. And the officers, the bosses have their own problems. Then they don't have control over themselves, but they are trying to control over their colleagues and subordinates. So if there is at least someone who is practicing in the office, then he will be able to pass the right vibration, and everyone will be gradually around that place. So in this manner, we can be contributing to the society and provide some positive feedback to the society, and that not mixing or unentanglement is such an important thing in Buddha's teaching. Once King Ajasatta, I'm not going to give the history of him, and he was taken to observe the Blessed One, see the Blessed One. And on the way, he was told that the Blessed One is with 1,250 monks, and King was going to see such a beautiful sight. But on his way, he was so shocked to see in a place with 1,250, there was pin drop silence, and he was very suspicious about the minister who was taking him there. He thought this minister is going to kill him. So the king caught him and asked, "Are you going to kill me? And you are going to a very secluded place and very silent place. I know what's about to happen in this jungle now." And then he said, "No, don't worry. And although there are 1,250 monks here, and they all are meditating in 100% silence, so you have got nothing to worry. Just come few more steps further. I'll show how they are living." And then he saw all the monks were sitting in that particular night and meditating. And so therefore, when we have that type of seclusion, when we have that type of unentanglement, they are with 1,250 people, but unentangled. They're not mixing with each other. They carry on with their business. And that is how the monks community work. And that is how those who work spirituality should work. You will have to be together to do whatever is necessary. But once things are done, you will have to be secluded yourself and you will have to go on with your own work. And then people get shocked and people become scared. And I remember when we were doing once a retreat in Cromwell College in St. Lucia, and there was a fire alarm, and we had about 100 people doing the retreat, and everyone was not talking a single word. Everyone came out to the assembly point, and then these fire brigades, firefighters came with all big noise, ha-ho, and then they keep shouting and all that. And they were shocked to see that so many people are there, extremely silent, utter silent. No one is uttering a word to the other person. And then finally, they started asking themselves, they became themselves silent, and they started talking sign language and asking what these people are doing and how they are doing and what's going on here like. So that is how the seclusion and unentanglement would work. So just before concluding the session, so I would urge everyone to develop this quality of seclusion and develop the quality of unentanglement, not imposing that on yourself. If you can do it with contentment, if you can do it with a happy and a smiling mind, then you become a spiritual giant and you become a role model to whatever the society you are living in. So may you all be able to do that and be well, happy and mindful. And with that, I would like to conclude my talk. I've opened up the floor for any questions if you have. Teruvan Saranai. And I think I have muted everybody. I will unmute all of you so that, yes. So if anyone is having any discussion point, this is the time to bring it out. Maybe question, maybe report. Yes, Peter.
Okay, sorry. Just when it comes to the seclusion, the seclusion that you're talking about, like that it's good to get into the habit of doing and stuff. When you have like say you've got a girlfriend or whatever, or you've got children and you live in like the layperson lifestyle, is it just like maybe setting out some like a particular day or like half a day or something in a week, or how best to establish that sort of?
How best to establish is when you are in a family, it is not easy to do, right? So the easiest way, the blessed ones, is you can't be moved, you can't be away from the family, you can't be away from your loved ones. So then the best thing is you will have to be mentally secluded. For that, you will have to start your mindfulness practice. You will have to start your observational quality. So whatever is happening, whatever happening around you, you just let them happen. You just let them happen, but you will not be affected by whatever is happening around. So
it's like mentally dealing with it rather than taking that physical seclusion type thing.
Yeah. Physical seclusion is the starting point. But once you are mentally secluded, it will come to a point that you will appreciate more and more unentanglement with other people. So even if you are with them, you will be talking as less as possible with them.
So not like interfering
you will not interfere. You will not try to give unnecessary advice. You will understand with what type of defilements they are talking about, because when you live in a house and a lot of greed, hatred and delusion is there, and people are talking based on those things only. So when those things happen, you don't try to correct them. You simply observe and smile inside you.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, thank you for that.
No problem. So, and I would add also, don't try to do these things. These things will naturally come up when you start your practice, when you progress in your practice. So the
Yeah.
most important thing is to start the practice and be more and more observant, and then these things will gradually fall into line. So if you try to do these things piece by piece separately, then it won't work.
Okay. Yeah. No problem. Yeah. Thank you. I think everyone else is muted.
No, they can unmute if they want.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Teruvan Saranai, sir.
Teruvan Saranai.
I just want to add to the seclusion point, because I've been going through something like that lately, and it wasn't forced or anything, but you know, I have been feeling very separated from like my old friend groups and stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was primarily due to the practice as well. And at the start, yeah, I did struggle. But yeah, I just have to agree with everything Swami Mahansa said about like trying to help other people when you have to fix your own problems. That's what I realized. Yeah. So I like, yeah, that was my biggest realization, because I was growing up, I felt like I always had to be there for people. So just because of that, I couldn't set boundaries. With my own things. So just because of that, I was like, I would always say yes to things when I didn't want to. But lately, yeah, like I've been realizing that a lot lately. Like it's just things I have fixed up myself. Then I started realizing, oh, like people are on their own path, and like they end up figuring it out. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. People select different paths for happiness, and most of the people go through the sensuality, and very few people see that spirituality is the way to be happy. And when that happens, and of course, you will not come to that straight away unless you are really, really spiritual from day one. You will learn the hard way. That is how the personality develops in spirituality.
But yeah, at the moment, like with the practice, it's I'm sensing like a feel of peace and everything. It's working out great. I just have a couple of questions regarding my practice as well.
Yeah.
And I think I was telling Swami Mansa about how I was like experiencing pain and like becoming more tolerant to it during the practice. And I think it was like a couple of days ago, I was doing my seated meditation. Energies were coming up, and my body was starting to move back. So instead of seated, my body started to automatically lie down. I started to allow it, and so instead of sitting, there was a point where I was just like lying on the floor. My legs were still like bent, but like I could still feel these energies come up, and I was just with those energies because like I was used to it with the practice. So I was just wondering if that's an okay thing. But like today, it started happening again. But like I tried to force myself to sit down, and I started feeling like a bit more awareness in like each moment because I was sitting down. So I'm not sure.
Yeah. Were you falling down forward or backward?
This time I was falling down backwards. At the very start, I was falling down forwards, but this was like a few weeks ago.
So
yeah.
Has it been continuing for more than once, or it just happened once?
It happened twice, 2 days in a row.
Right. Okay. That's fine. What happens is when you get more and more involved with the object, you completely move away from not only sensuality, you move away from yourself as well. So then you may gradually, do you get thrown away, and do you really fall down, or you just gradually
it's very gradual. It's like my body like asks for it to like move down, so I just listen to it. It's like my body telling me, oh, this is the right posture for you to feel this pain, feel this
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah.
And so I just listen to it and go with it.
Yeah. So what happens there is now the mind is not identifying the significance. Mind is not identifying the importance of the form of materiality. Now the development is happening at the mental level. So when it moves into the mental level, materiality is not an important thing. So when your concentration is more towards immateriality or non-matter, there is no chance the materiality, there is no role the materiality will play. So therefore, materiality will gradually fall down in this manner. The reason why I asked whether you fall down or whether you will be feeling sudden falls is because sometimes when this is happening, some people struggle. Some people don't love that to happen. And then you will be catapulted or thrown away, thrown back, or thrown forward. So in this case, since it is gradually happening, you are gradually moving towards the non-matter. So therefore, the body loses its significance, and then you feel it is better to be lying down instead of sitting. However, if it continues, just try to be more mindful of it and see whether this is continuing. And try to see more and more information at the time it starts falling down, it starts moving down, right? So since you see less information at the start of tilting down, then the mindfulness gradually subsides. Does it make sense? If you see more information at the time of its start, then you are more mindful.
Yeah.
Right. So although you have had mindfulness up to that point, and this is a very subtle point when it starts tilting down, and in that point, mindfulness is lacking, and the concentration is high. So therefore, at the very start, if you can see more information of this tilting, then your awakening will be higher. And with that higher awakening, your mindfulness will come forward, and concentration will get balanced with mindfulness. As a result, you may not fall. Right? But I have had an instance with some other person. Although with awareness, she was enjoying that that tilting down and lying down. So, however, you just keep doing whatever you are doing. What is happening is natural, so nothing to get alarmed. We will see more things about this process, and then see from there.
Yeah.
All right. So, do you have any other questions?
It just leads to one more question that I had. Because I feel like since that not since that started happening, so I feel like my body has started operating from like a I don't know how to put this. This might be too much for people, but it started operating from like a high energetic level. So sometimes my brain just tells me, do this. Like it's like a voice in my head, and I know it's the right voice because like I do it, and it tends to be the right thing to do at the time.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what you can say about that because like it's been, I don't. It's not like I'm not at the start. I was scared to listen to that voice, but now it's more like intuition. but like I get that voice in my head and I do it,
Yeah.
and it happens to be the right thing at the right time. So I'm
Yeah.
not sure if that's like a good thing or a bad thing.
It may be sometimes taking you away from mindfulness, because if you try to listen to, because mind is trying to create something that you would like, and
Yeah, exactly.
then mind will be able to hook you into that.
Yeah,
So therefore, if these voices are coming, they are
yeah.
just mind-made things, right?
Mm,
Maybe a thing, but maybe a mind-made thing. So
Mm.
yeah,
just tell them when it happens. You can say aware, or hearing, or knowing, so that you first take that under the surveillance of mindfulness,
yeah,
and just observe them.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So that's the best thing to do, so that it will not take upper hand and drive you somewhere else from it.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, that actually helps a lot. Yeah.
Right. Teruvan Saranai.
I don't know.
Peter, did you want to say something?
Just had a quick question off of his question, off his first question. With
Yeah.
the body moving during meditation and stuff, is it a bet is it at a higher level or something, like, or further along, say someone that's been practicing for a long time, will they be able to just keep their body generally like in one fixed position, and they shouldn't really like move around too much, that kind of thing? Like,
Are you talking about your experience, or are you
no,
talking
I'm saying in general, like say like someone like another a monk or something, or yourself or something like that. If you're meditating, like, should you the longer you've been practicing, should you be able to keep your body like just in that one position whilst
Yeah.
you meditate?
Yeah. No, I'm not going to say yes or no, because it depends on the person. It
Okay.
depends on it depends on many other factors. So there is no
Mm.
one set of rules, but therefore it is very important to practice and see what is happening to you. Because
Mm.
when we discuss in a group, this is one disadvantage we have, and
Mm.
one member when he is giving some experience, and sometimes others also expect the same. No, it is not happening like it may happen, may not happen.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
therefore, don't generalize these things. You just
Yeah. I meant
practice.
it in a good in a not in a negative way. I just
Yeah,
meant like trying to establish, like, if
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
You are trying to build up a framework. Don't build up
Yeah.
a framework because you can't generalize these things.
Okay. Yeah. Not a problem. Thank you.
Everyone, Sarana.
They're on Saturday.
Temple.
Hi, Bhante.
Hi, how are you?
Very good. So,
Fantastic. On top of the world.
very good. Very good. So, as usual, I've had different experiences again. This one, I haven't really meditated very much this week, to be honest. I've had a bit of an ear thing going on, and I was going to go to the doctors about it today, but I didn't end up going. What's been happening is my ear, this left ear, I've been hearing, like, how can I explain it? Like the sound of an ocean, crickets, and a singing bowl.
Right.
It's when people talk at work, it's been like really heightened with like an echo. And then when I meditate, I get this sound of like ocean waves crashing, cricket sounds, and then like a singing bowl. So I sort of stopped doing meditation this week because of that. Tonight, though, when I was meditating, probably about, I don't know, it would have been maybe 15, 20 minutes through,
it sort of felt like I was going to fall into a deep sleep, but I just let it go. And it felt like I was going into a, like, just falling into a black, I don't know, like a black sort of area. And then I was getting that feeling I was telling you about at the base of my spine, but I was getting it in the middle of my chest. And then it went outwards and then into my biceps and triceps. And I was going to stop meditating because it was getting quite full on, but I just let it go. And it was just like, as soon as I stopped meditating, I just had to, like, you know, rub my chest because it was just irritating. But again, like, kind of a good feeling.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a good feeling, but it's an unusual feeling. It's not happening at the base of my spine anymore. It's happening at my chest, like, it's kind of like behind my pecs kind of thing.
Yeah.
Then it sort of went out and I was getting, like, you know, like a pulsating thing on my biceps and then my triceps. Yeah. What's that about?
Yeah, I mean, that's also something that will happen when the practice is progressing. And especially coming to the ear thing. And you just see a doctor and see whether there is anything wrong with the ear. I'm 100% sure there is nothing wrong. Because these things will happen when your sensitivity increases. Mindfulness will increase your sensitivity because you are more and more attentive to yourself. When you are more and more attentive to yourself, we have certain faculties that are more active comparatively. So for some people, eye is very, very, very active, and they start seeing visions, and they start feeling that their eye is trying to pop out, right? And a lot of eye related things. And so for some people, as you said, a lot of 1,000 bells ringing at once, or ocean feeling, or feeling or sound that you may have in a desert, right? So, or cricket sound. And they call it, this is exactly what I was talking in my ear, sorry, in my speech, in my talk. When you listen to the gong, and after the gong sound fades away, if you still keep listening, you will have the sound of silence. You call it the absence of sound. When the sound is not there, and you see the origin of the sound. Origin of the sound is this hum sound you will have. And that happens when your concentration is high. So when the concentration is high, and whatever the active faculty will be giving some sense to you. And for some people, it's the nose. They start smelling so many things. Sometimes very bad smell, and sometimes very, very, very nice smell, because their nose is more sensitive. And I remember when I was practicing some years ago in Belbari, I hear trucks going on the highway because your sensitivity increases. And there are a lot of people who have this ear sensitivity thing. And there is a book on that as well, which is called Sound of Silence. So it's not, you know, very, very high thing, but it's where your concentration is going very well. So see a doctor, but it is something that you have got nothing to worry about. And since the concentration is becoming balanced, you are aware now what's going on. You are aware of all these things. So you have concentration as well as mindfulness. When you have concentration and mindfulness together, balance, the negativities can't stop. Negativities cannot establish in the system. So when the negativities will not get established, you start feeling all these things. Going back to the question, when your negativities are getting activated, and when your negativities are about to move from your system, then you start having all these feelings, and all these tensions in the body, right? So when those tensions happen, then you will have to be, you said letting go, and letting go sounded like not real attentive to what is happening. Letting go, you just ignored them like I felt. Am I correct or wrong?
That's correct. It's strange because it doesn't hurt when I touch it. There's no doesn't feel like an infection or anything. It's just like, as you were talking then, like it just has like an vibration echo every time people are talking around me. And then if I'm at home by myself, I can hear things that seem like they're miles away. It's just bizarre, but it's only this ear. It's not like it's this ear or both. It's just this left ear for some reason.
Right. Yeah. And just go and see a doctor as well.
Yeah. I think so, maybe I'm going deaf and I need to see a doctor.
I'm talking the other point that you were mentioning, pain in the chest and things like that.
Yeah.
So that is when your negativities are getting activated, right? So we have had, when we are living, we have been so much with sense pleasure. Now the energy that is required to maintain those sense pleasures are no longer required, right? So more you practice, those energies are getting activated, and they try to get themselves flushed away. And when it is going from the system, when it is going the energy away from materiality, and you feel very, very tensed, you feel very painful, you feel very unpleasant, right? So then what you will have to do is not just, let it happen and just ignore it. Get more and more close to it and observe very attentively and with a smiling face. And you said it was a good feeling after. It's a good feeling after, because it is negativity that you are now fighting, right? So since you know that these negativities are getting activated and about to flush out, then you will have to, with a smile, you will have to get close to them and be more mindful now rather than just ignoring.
Yeah.
So if you become more mindful, then more negativities will start coming up. So it's a good process, and more you will have to observe it with the mentality of giving up as well. You should not get scared of these things, because a lot of people get scared of those when the negativities are getting activated. So what concentration does is it goes into the tiny particles of your matter. So these tiny particles of the matter are connected by have been connected by the negativities in the past. So those negativities are being pulled out now by the positive energy that you induce, that you introduce into the system. That positive energy is the neutrality. You don't do anything. So the negativity is coming out. So it's not a reason to stop. It is a reason to practice more. So
thank you very much.
Yeah. So it's good that we have this discussion. Otherwise, a lot of people move away from the practice. Teruvan Saranai.
Teruvan Saranai. Thank you, Bhante.
Anything else? Anybody else?
We don't have anything here.
All right. So then we can take some time to share the positive energies we have generated. So I will share the screen, so everybody will be able to participate in sharing merits. So okay, so can I request everyone, can you lead, Chatu?